Okay, so this week we'll be learning all about the California State University system. And as I told you in week one, the CSU system is the largest system in the United States. So with 23 campuses, they have a lot to offer. And you want to make sure that you do your research on the campuses to determine which one would be the right fit for you. So I'll be doing several videos this week so that you can learn about the various programs that they offer and determine if the CSU would be the right fit for you. So let's go ahead and jump right in here. All right, so the CSU system goes all the way from Humboldt down to San Diego. And Humboldt in the last few years switched from a regular CSU to a California Polytechnic University. So they joined Cal Poly San Luis and Cal Poly Pomona to be a California technical school. And so they really pride themselves on being hands-on. And so they are going to ensure that their students are really jumping in and doing that hands-on work from day one, whether you're a freshman or a transfer student. So you've got 23 campuses to choose from, as I already stated. Of course, Sonoma State is our closest campus. And yes, they've been going through a lot this last year, but they still have a lot to offer, and you don't want to discount them. You know, a lot of students transfer from SRJC to Sonoma State because they can't uproot their life, or they don't want to uproot their life. They want to stay here, and so we're very lucky to have Sonoma State right here. We have a lot of other schools that are commutable. East Bay is in Hayward. San Francisco State is obviously in San Francisco. I've actually had students commute to like the Sacramento area. And then the CSU also has online programs. So you'll want to check those out, and we'll actually have a module on online programs in a few weeks. All right, so the CSU, let me put myself a little off to the side here. So they started as a training school for elementary school teachers in 1857. So they've been around for a very long time. In 1935, they moved from that teacher school to a state school. So remember last week I told you that the California State University, one of the areas that they pride themselves on is training the most teachers in the state. And as you can see, they have a strong history in that. In 1960, the California Master Plan broadened the CSU's programs to include both undergrad and graduate programs in liberal arts and sciences. And so that, expanded them from those teacher schools to doing more. Today, there's over 460,000 students attending CSUs, and these stats kind of blow my mind. 1 in 10 employees in California is a CSU graduate, and 1 in every 20 Americans with a college degree earned it at a CSU. And there's over 4 million living alumni. So it just goes to show you really how big the system is. Okay, so let's talk about minimum transfer eligibility here, okay? You need 60 CSU transferable units to be admitted at a junior, okay? You can go as a lower division transfer student, meaning you have less than 60 units, but the rules change a little bit. So you had to have been eligible out of high school, and then you have to complete English and math and critical thinking and a communications class at SRJC. So you still have to have what's considered the golden 4, okay? And then you have to have a certain GPA. So you have to look at the campus to see, do they accept lower division transfer students? And if so, what are their rules, okay? So it's not as easy as it is for upper division transfer students, okay? So here I have courses numbered 1 to 99 at SRJC. Some of you may be in English C1000. That used to be English 1A. So I'm keeping this here because many of you, this is not your first semester. And so I just want you to know that those courses numbered 1 to 99, that's how you know that it's CSU transferable. Those of you that are in your first semester, any class with the C 1000, 1001, whatever is also going to be CSU transferable. So don't worry about those. Those are the main courses. They're creating this common course numbering, and meaning all community colleges have the same course number. And so that's a whole nother conversation. So just know that those are CSU and UC transferable. The CSU will accept 70 transferable units toward graduation. This hangs people up a little bit. Does that mean I can't have more than 70? Does that mean I have to have 70? What does that mean? It means that if you go to a CSU at, let's say, 80 units, they will recognize you did the class, but they're only going to count 70 units towards graduation. And so you can't show up at a CSU or a UC with 100 units and say, I only need 20 more. So that's not going to work. So you have to have 70 units. You can have 70 units from us, and then you would do 50 with them, okay, at the 120. Some majors, as I stated last week, are more than the 120, like the STEM majors. But if you do 60 with us, 60 with them, there's your 120, okay? So 60 minimum, 70 maximum. If you're confused by that, reach out to me. To be admissible, you need to have 30 CSU transferable units of general education. So as long as it's on the GE sheet, it counts. It doesn't matter if you've done, 3 math classes, that's totally fine. It just has to be on the GE sheet. Okay, here's where things also get a little bit tricky here. If you were enrolled prior to fall of 25, you may be following the CSU GE sheet or the IGETC. Okay, on here I just put CSU GE. And if that's the case, you have to have all of Area A, which is your comms class, your English, and your critical thinking, as well as B4, which is math. If fall 25 is your first semester, you are following CalGETC. And you need all of Area 1, same courses, and Area 2, which is math, okay? Same courses, but the areas are different, numbers instead of letters. I will be talking about GE in a few weeks, so I'm not going to go through general education in detail right now because it has gotten more complicated, and so I want to spend more time on that. Okay. Then you need a 2.0 GPA for California residents. That is the minimum. That does not mean that is where you're going to be admitted at. Okay. Very unlikely you would get into San Diego State or Cal Poly San Luis with a 2.0. Okay, so the realistic transfer selection criteria, you have those 60 CSU transferable units done. You have CSU GE, IGETC, or CalGETC completed and certified, meaning SRJC says, okay, CSU Long Beach, student A has GE done, we're certifying it. So we send a form saying GE is completed for transfer. 30 units must be with a C or better, okay? On CalGETC and IGETC, you can only have C's, but on CSU GE, they do allow 3 D's on the sheet, okay? So that is a little bit complicated. The IGETC, CalGETC, no D's. You have your lower division major prep done. So anything for your major that's on assist, which I went over last week, is completed, okay? And then you have at least a 3.0 GPA. So if you are applying to an impacted major or an impacted campus, they may require additional selection criteria, which could be a higher GPA. So we see that. You need a 3.5 for a psych major, something like that, okay? And okay, this is going to be on the next video, I believe. Okay, I'll make sure. Nope, I lied. I'm keeping this here. All right, so impacted majors and campuses. If your major or campus is impacted, that means there are more students who apply to that campus or major than the school can accommodate. And so they then have certain criteria that has to be met for the student to be considered for admissions. So an example is Cal Poly San Luis, Long Beach, San Diego, those are the most impacted campuses. And so you have to then look at specific, criteria that they want. What do they want students to have done? Okay. And so impacted majors vary by school. And then supplemental application information could be used. So they could look at your GPA. They could look to see if you have certain courses done, and you may be admitted as a pre-major and not go into the full major until you've completed a semester there. Sometimes they have like a class that they want you to do within the major before you are fully vetted in there. A good example is Sac State. So at Sac State, psych, business, and criminal justice are all impacted. Nursing's impacted at all CSUs, so I'm not even going to mention them. But you have to go and do a supplemental application. Well, they don't tell you that. So you have to know that, or a counselor has to tell you that. So if you're looking at any of those majors, Sac State has another application that you do for that impaction. So here's the list of impacted campuses. This wants to work for me. No, it doesn't. Hold on. Okay, so here is, this got to, okay, here are the impacted majors and universities for the CSU. So San Luis, Fullerton, Long Beach, San Diego State, and San Jose. So Fresno came off. That's interesting. They were on there, and I feel like San Jose got put on. So those are the impacted campuses. Out of the 23 campuses, every single major at these schools is considered impacted, okay? Now, you can go and look at, let's look at SAC and see if the majors I said was correct. Business, criminal justice, graphic design got added. Psych came, oh no, there's psych, and nursing, as I mentioned. So graphic design got added. And so you can look up each campus to see what major is impacted. Let's see. Let's look at Fresno, since I said those came off. So they have quite a few. You can see a lot of them are the ag majors that are impacted. Okay. So that is the impaction, and what that means and what you want to look out for as you're researching your major. A lot of times it will tell you on assist, this major is impacted, or every major at CSU Long Beach is impacted. Okay, this is where we're stopping now.